Hello, and welcome back to day 13 of 100 Days of Clarity. We are now in the groove and powering through. Today, we're going to take some time to learn about a new concept, and this is something called a keyword. So a keyword, which is also a concept used in many other languages, is the fact that there are some words that are specific to the language because they need to be reserved for context-specific properties or states or variables or things that need to be defined by the network and only the network. To give you guys an idea of a few clarity, of course, has keywords, and to give you an idea of the two most popular keywords, which today we're going to spend the majority of the time reviewing the first one. They are something called TX-sender, TX-sender, and something called block height. So TX-sender, as the name suggests, transaction sender, it refers to the person that signed that transaction, aka whoever clicked the button to submit transaction. That's the address or the principal that signed that transaction. And so why do we need that keyword? Well, maybe we want to check that the person that's calling this contract is someone that is, an admin or someone who we want to be calling this contract. Or on the flip side, if there's someone that we don't want to call this contract, like we need to be able to tell who TX-sender is at any time. And so that word TX-sender is a keyword, and it's used in Clarity whenever as a stand-in for whenever we want to define or refer to who actually signed the transaction. And so you're going to see how we use that today. And again, block height is the other keyword that we're not going to use today, but it should be pretty obvious by context. The keyword block height is used in a contract to represent the current block height whenever a transaction is signed. So if we are in block 100, the keyword block height in any contract will refer to block 100. Okay, with that being said, I know our last one ran 23 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep this one on a much shorter 5 to 10 minute length. With that being said, let's open up our handy dandy IDE and terminal and go ahead and type in the day and the topics. So, day 13. Today we are covering TX-sender, and we're also going to cover another built-in conditional. And again, you guys have seen really, really simple conditionals already that return true or false. For example, when we looked at optionals and we saw is some or is none. Both of those are simple conditionals that based on an input, an optional, give you back a value of true or false. There is another really simple and almost universal conditional that you want to use when you want to compare that two values are exactly the same. And that is dash eq or EQ for is equal. And so today we're going to cover just TX-sender and we're going to use is equal in our examples. Okay, cool. So first, as usual, whenever we want to explore something new, define read-only, do something low stakes, we're going to say show TX-sender. Enter. And again, this is a keyword, so you literally just need to type in TX-sender as the preview here suggests. And that's it. We go back to our Clarinet console. Let's go ahead and run this. And we're going to go ahead and call show TX-sender. We're still in Clarity Basics 2, though that's going to change soon. And what do you know? We actually get back this first address, which makes sense. And I guess I'll take this opportunity to show you guys a little bit more functionality that's built into Clarity that, again, as we progress, you're going to see more and more. So first and foremost, whenever you have both of these brackets, both of these triangles or arrows like this, double ones, that means you're in Clarinet, and you can type in : followed by words to give Clarinet special commands. The way to view all of these is always to just go back, type in : help. The help command will pull up everything else that's included here, and it'll show you how you can bend Clarinet more and more. Today, all we're going to do is we're going to use one of the functions that we see here that says set TX sender. As you can see, it says set TX sender, and you provide a principal. And as the name suggests, this just allows us to change who the TX sender is when interacting with this dummy blockchain. So if we want to get the result of show TX sender from another wallet, well, we just have to tell Clarinet, hey, we now want to test or interact as this principal. So let's go ahead, copy paste the second principal here. : set TX sender. Again, apostrophe, or else it's going to be not fun. Sorry, I guess this time no apostrophe, and this is still not that fun. Okay, TX sender changed to this person. If we go ahead and call show TX sender again, we should get the second address. Okay, we didn't get the second address, and this is a really, really good chance to show you guys some extra information here. Okay, so if you read the error message, it says error use of unresolved contract, st, etc., dot clarity basics 2. And that seems weird because we've called Clarity Basics 2 probably hundreds of times now. So why is this saying it doesn't exist? And the hint is in where it says use of unresolved contract. If you see that principle it's saying before Clarity Basics 2, it ends in YPD5, which means it's the contract it's the principle that we just changed to. And if we look up and we scroll up, we can see that the contract identifier here, or the principal, is not the one we just changed to, but it was the one that we were in, right? This first guy, and not the second guy that we changed to. And for this entire time, whenever we refer to the contract, we've just been saying .clarity basics 2. And since we were acting as the principal or the TX sender that deployed the contract, just writing in period and the name of the contract worked because, again, the principal deployed that contract itself, so it knows what contract you're referring to. Now that we're working with another principal and we pass in only .clarity basics 2, it's looking up that contract name under the current TX sender. And so that's obviously not what we want, and that's why it's returning an error. And so to fix this, really simple. Instead of calling the contract by .clarity basics 2, all we need to do is append the correct principal name at the beginning. So contract -call, space, and now apostrophe, and then go up here and copy this entire guy, st, etc., .clarity basics 2, paste that, and now call show TX sender. And it worked. Cool. And so new lesson there, whenever you are calling a contract and you did not deploy that contract, you're calling it from another principal, you need to make sure that you're calling the contract correctly by making sure that the principal before the contract is correct. Okay, so that being said, let's go back to show TX sender. We already did this. That's not that interesting. So now we're going to go ahead and try testing out is equal. And so let's go ahead and just call define constant, and we're going to call this admin. And we're going to go back to our terminal, and the contract that actually deploys it, so this first guy that ends with GZGM, who we are when we first spin up this environment, we're going to copy paste this and pass it here as a literal principal to create admin. And now all we're going to do is a simple define read only, where we're going to check, hey, is TX sender equal to admin? is this user the admin defined in the principal? And as you can see, that's a really, really powerful combination of logic here. Just with basically one line, we can check whether someone is calling this contract that should or shouldn't be. So is equal, we want to do admin. We want to make sure that the TX sender is admin. And that's it. And so as you can see, this actually saves because this is going to work. So if we go back, Control CC, Clarinet console again, and we go up. And again, we actually, so you can leave in the literal principal because again, we're now back to being the deployer address. So we could remove, the principal at the beginning of this contract call. But at this point, that'll be more work than it's worth. So we'll leave it as is and just change the name to check admin. And we call that and we see that that is immediately true. And now just to make sure that this works both ways, we're going to go ahead, change who we're signing the transaction as, and then call the same function check admin, and it should fail. So we're going to change TX sender to the second wallet here. Press enter, change successfully, now call check admin. And it indeed does fail. Okay. And so again, this is significantly shorter than yesterday, but I wanted to keep it that way. And even though it was, we covered a good amount of work here. So one, we introduced the concept of a keyword and how there are very limited, probably no more than 5 to 10 keywords in all of Clarity, which the two most important are TX sender, which stands for transaction sender, and it's the person that signs or presses enter or submits a transaction, and the block height, which gives us a uint of the current block height. In addition to those keywords, we use TX sender extensively, and we also learned a little bit more about Clarinet, how to manually test by switching who we're acting as when we sign transactions or when we call them. And we also introduced one of the most basic built-in conditionals, which is equal. And again, just with TX sender and is equal, we saw that we can use them together to define an admin check function, which again, we were able to do in one line. So again, the progress is here. It's steady, it's slow and steady, but it's coming. So continue coming back. This was day 13, and I will see you tomorrow.